Okay, Vince, you know, the National Football League has kicked off its OTAs in the spring. They got all the players in that they've drafted and the free agents that they've signed. And so they're taking a really good look at the team. They're starting to build the team in their minds, management's mind, right now. They started from day one. They probably already have some preconceived notions of who they want and who they don't want, but they're looking at these players real close. And, you know, there are a few guys that have been productive in the National Football League who all of a sudden now on the back half of their careers and they're making a lot of money. And when I thought of a couple of guys, I said I'm going to ask Vince because I know you watch these positions closely. There's a couple of guys that happen to be wide receivers, and they play on a couple of teams that and they've had some success with these teams. But their financial situations might make them, you know, trade bait or cap casualties. The first guy is Jerry Jeudy. He's a wide receiver with the Denver Broncos. Now, Denver drafted Marvin Mims in the second round. Very talented and fast receiver, playmaking guy, does a lot. The team lacked draft capital because of the trade of Russell Wilson.
Right.
So I'm thinking that Jeudy brings them the biggest possible return. Plus, the team can also save $15.5 million over the next 2 years. And the other guy, Vince, is Mike Evans down with the Buccaneers. A similar situation. The Bucs could save $14.5 million by trading him and secure some draft capital. What do you think about those two guys possibly being lost to those teams?
Well, I think you said it right. What the Broncos lack is draft capital after the Russell Wilson trade. So, but now Sean Payton's come aboard, and he's made it public that he really likes Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma. But not only is he a deep threat and really fast as a wide receiver, Russell Wilson likes to throw the ball deep.
Right.
And Sean Payton's going to put an offensive scheme together that really favors what Russell Wilson does best. Okay, so there's not going to be any second guessing going on there. But I think what more importantly, with a player like that, he can help the team win special teams. Jackie, he's a punt returner. He's fast. He's really prolific at what he does.
Absolutely.
So I think that Sean Payton likes the idea of molding players into a system.
And it's his guy.
Yeah.
His first year, his guy. He drafted him.
Right. And so I think so that also makes Jeudy expendable, So I think, and they're going to save money as well.
$15.5 million they would save. Now, what about Mike Evans? Big Mike Evans down in Tampa.
He's 30 years old, Jackie, and wide receivers can play a long time in the league. I don't question his age as much as I do, coming now with Baker Mayfield, a different offense altogether. They don't have the same connection that he had with Tom Brady. And, when they can save money like that and move on, and this team is in a rebuild mode right now. So I think, Mike probably has seen, his last days in Tampa Bay. That would be my guess, and I would probably see him hooking up with another team, and they're moving on and use some more draft capital, which is so important today.
It really is.
But Jackie, not only are receivers on the fence, there are some defensive linemen, and we've talked about one. We'll save at the end, but Chandler Jones, drafted by the Patriots. Okay, he's currently with the Raiders, but the Raiders they've got some draft people coming in there and some different things going on. What do you think about him?
Vince, they drafted a guy named Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. This guy, they drafted him with the 7th overall pick. This guy can bring heat. Don't make no mistake about it. I've seen his highlight film. I watched him play this past season, and he would be a chore for any offensive tackle to have to deal with. Now, the first thing that crossed my mind is, why would you draft a guy like that when you already have Max Crosby, who's still young and up and coming, and then you have Chandler Jones? Chandler Jones, he had 4.5 sacks in 15 games last year at 33 years of age. He's on the back half of his career. They can inject a young, more energetic, more talented, more dynamic player in Tyreek Wilson right now, and then they can save a ton of money by getting rid of Chandler Jones. In my opinion, Chandler Jones is going to be trade bait. He's going to bring in some draft capital. It's just a matter of time.
And Jackie, the other thing is it's real affordable to get a guy like Chandler Jones on a point play, like a specific type of pass rush that they could use him with. They only have to spend him $1.2 million as a salary to get a guy of that caliber.
Yeah, the team that acquires him. The team that acquires him.
Exactly.
Absolutely. They get him on the cheap. They on the latter half.
So that
of his
makes
career,
a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense. He can get him another 3-4 years with the team as an isolated pass rusher off of the edge. Now, Vince, this last guy here.
Yeah, we talked about him before.
I brought this up right before the draft as we watched the Rams in need of draft capital. And you and I both concluded that we wanted no parts of this kind of trade because you and I both know how the impact that a guy like Aaron Donald can have on a football team. And in my opinion, especially now with them having so many young guys around him, the work ethic that he brings to the table every week is worth the money. But let's look at the money for a moment, and then let's consider the possibility of the Rams moving him. Aaron Donald has 2 years remaining on the contract, with this year making $26 million, and then the following year, 34.1. Okay, if the Rams trade Aaron Donald after June the 1st, they can save $35 million and over the upcoming 2 seasons and get much needed draft capital, as we're talking about. The cost for the acquiring team is only $13.5 million and $10 million for the final 2 years. Now that's a heck of a deal.
That's a bargain.
That's a heck of a deal for Aaron Donald. And then think about that team that only needs that one piece. And Aaron Donald is always that one piece for anybody that needs interior pass rush. Think about that team willing to give up a ton of picks like the Rams did over the years to get where they wanted to be. And that's to win a championship, win a Super Bowl, because in large part of Aaron Donald. Have you changed your mind at all about the possibility of trading Aaron Donald?
Look, Jackie, let's consider a few things. This guy is one of the most disruptive defensive players in all of football.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you want to build your team, you want to go to a Super Bowl, you want something like that, and you have the other players around you, you definitely can go to the Super Bowl with a guy like Aaron Donald.
That's right.
Okay,
but that missing piece.
Yes,
that missing piece.
But what do you have to give up to get a guy like that? Because certainly you can afford his salary. I mean, in those circumstances, that's nothing for a team to pay for a quality player like that. But you have to give him draft capital, and the Rams know that. How did they build? How are they not rebuilding but remodeling their team with draft picks? And they did it this year with 15 draft picks. If that's the direction they want to go, Jackie, next year, they can certainly do that. But I don't think at the expense of losing a guy like Aaron Donald. And you and I both agree that he's not going anywhere.
They've already said they're doing a remodel by around Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald. And I mean, when you think about all the young players that they brought on board, young talented guys that they brought on board, Vince, what better role model to have for any position than to have Aaron Donald? The way he practices, the way he works, the way he hits the weights, all of the things the way he competes on Sunday, the disruptiveness that he brings to the table. Why would you not want to expose all of these young players that you're remodeling with to that kind of excellence? And so I think that Aaron Donald is untouchable, even though there is, we've seen Les Snead do some daring things at some interesting times. And, I wouldn't put it past him, can't put it all the way past him. But if you want a solid football team, you want to grow young guys to be pros, real pros, you leave Aaron Donald alone, because he's going to be the guy that's going to be leading the way almost every time.
And the other reason, too, Jackie, is Deacon Jones never left. He never went. Well, he did actually go to the Chargers at the end of his career. But I would like to see the player just remain with his team. Of course, but today is different. The free agency, the way it was when we played, there was not much free agency, Jackie. So, but you never know these days.
You never know. Never know.
Like to see him start with the Rams, finish with the Rams.
I'd like to see that too. And it's interesting that we're even having this conversation about Aaron Donald in light of, how good he is.
Yes.